We are live.
Hi.
Let me check if everything works on YouTube, if we are really live or if it's just the tool showing that we are live. Oh, no, we are live. Great. So then let's wait for the first people joining. And let's find out where we can see the chat, the comments.
It's on the right. There's live comments and private chat. Sebastian.
Ah, yes. Ah, so we've got 4 people watching right now, 5.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, to the 5 people, this is our first time live, so we might be a little unexperienced, but yeah, let's see how it goes. Maybe we can chat in Telegram and ask who's online. Ah, and maybe we can also post a new link, which we just posted on Twitter. So I just posted the new link.
Yeah, and I posted on the previous YouTube chat window.
Mm-hmm. Ah, now we have comments. Hi.
Ah, nice.
Maybe we can do it like the experienced YouTubers and ask the people where from where they are watching at the moment. Hi Alexis, hi Matthew. So Mosmos is asking a question, the first question here today. My question will be, does BTC going on and off the network leave contaminated dust from now clean BTC from Tixl to then have to deal with? Or does KYC stop any tumbling effect, hence not a concern? Okay. I don't know if I really understand the question. So is so do you mean the issue that there might be the case that people are trying to bring BTC to the network, which is like from any, I don't know, darknet dealings or whatever, and so that in the end we would have in our network some Bitcoin which are, yeah, maybe which have been earned by fraud or whatever. Is that the question? And then how we would deal with that? Or can you maybe ask the question differently? Yeah, it could be used as kind of a tumbler, and that I think that's still a question which we will only be answered to really, we will have to decide in the future how we deal with that, because right now with the current solution, of course, it could be used as a tumbler. That's true, because we don't know where the BTC is coming from. We don't do any checks right now. And at the moment, we would say, like, from our point and from the legal situation, that should be fine in the moment, but maybe due to regulation or so later on, maybe KYC would be required, or it could be also an option to use tools like some chain analysis tools where we only accept BTC where the probability that these BTC are kind of dirty is very low. So it's not something where we did really work on a solution right now, because the focus is on really bringing the BTC second layer solution live, and to get some traction on it, and then to decide, okay, what we can do legally, what's possible in the future. And of course, our goal is to stay on the legal side. We don't want to build any Bitcoin mixer or whatever. So that has to be decided in the future then.
Yeah, there's another question from Sun S. How is BTC locked when moved to Autobahn Network? And yeah, it's sent to the TBTC gateway, and it's a Bitcoin account that's created from our validator nodes, and it's created with a shared secret, and you need several validators that accept a transaction to send it back to another Bitcoin address. So it's locked, and you need the approval from several validators that it's sent to another Bitcoin address. And you need the funds on the Autobahn network that the validators approve it.
Yeah. Hey, Christian, somebody is chatting that you look ripped.
Yeah, I had a some more time to go running the last weeks, so
yeah, it's our
more in shape.
Our first week in our office, actually. So we are in the same office, but Christian is sitting in one meeting room and I'm sitting in the other one. But over the last weeks, we always work from home, like probably a lot of you did. I just saw another good question from Tixl Fanatic. The question is, besides BTC, what other coin will be introduced next? And the following question on that is, next, how is the Autobahn different to Ren or Kyber's Rep BTC? Yeah. So that's a really good question. Regarding the other coins, I would say we don't have like exact plans which coin could be added next. We want to focus on BTC first, and we really see a chance to gain some traction in the BTC community, and so that's really our top priority, and that's also where we want to really make a difference to the existing BTC scaling solution. So what is one of our benefits compared to like existing ones like Kyber's, or also other Rep BTC solutions on Ethereum, is that first of all, our goal will be that users do not need any other token than BTC, but instead can also pay the transaction fees in BTC, and internally we will then have the usage of Tixl. And that's something which we also want to introduce in our status update. Our goal is to publish a version of the Tixl testnet or the Autobahn testnet, which we will, I don't know, maybe call something like BetaNet or AlphaNet. That's not clear. which runs against the BTC production network very soon. And then actually Christian just created a new open source repository today. We want to build a wallet app which makes sending BTC between people as easy as possible. So that means in the wallet app, first of all, we are planning like features, for example, like sending BTC via phone number. And that's then also an exciting use case for Tixl at the end when, for example, people could purchase nicknames or whatever with Tixl. So sending BTC very, very easy. And in addition, that's something where we are currently still in the planning, and that's also what we will write in our next status update about, is that if we could build such a wallet app, then the best case would be that people could also buy BTC instantly and very easily in our wallet app, and then send it to other people on the Autobahn network, so that, and then also show the users, for example, their history of transactions, so that they can handle their taxes properly. Because the problem is, of course, when I now buy BTC and then Christian pays the next pizza or whatever for me, and I want to send him some money then afterwards, that means if I will send him Bitcoin, then on the tax side, at least in Germany, but it's pretty comparable in other countries, this is like a record which has to be later on in my tax statement for the year. And so our goal is to make it as convenient as possible and as easy as possible to get BTC, to send it around. And then we've got also some other ideas how we could get some traction for the wallet. And so, yeah, the focus is BTC and as fast as possible. We also, that's why we want to call it BetaNet, is that we want to bring out a version which is live earlier than the end of this year. So we don't have an exact timeline, but over the next weeks, we will put all our work into the stability of the existing network, like bug fixes for the stuff that occurred in the testnet. And then besides that, the wallet app, so that we can really onboard users as fast as possible and make the BTC community aware. So yeah, that's pretty much the goal, and that's why we are focusing on BTC, and we don't want to lose the focus on other stuff.
Yeah, but we also have some other coins in mind. So we had a look at what's possible and what could make sense. And I will focus on BTC first, but there's, for example, Bitcoin Cash can be quite similar and very low effort to integrate it later on. Or we can have a look at what makes sense to build up the community, for example. So there's no really good second layer solution for Monero, for example, and it can be interesting to support something like the Lightning Network for Bitcoin in the first place, that Monero community gets something similar. And so it can be very strategic decisions. But we'll focus on Bitcoin first, and we want to show that it's working very well. And
yeah, it's also important for the next stages of the fundraising, for example, because if we can show that people use our scaling solution for BTC using our wallet and so on, and we really can see some traction, then that makes fundraising, we think, a lot easier. And so that's also why we want to focus on that.
So there's another question from Ismail. When testing Autobahn Network, some BTC send transactions are rejected. Is it a normal behavior? How can I prevent my transaction from being rejected? It's something that's, I would say it's an edge case that happened in the wallet. We are already investigating it. And what's positive is that it's something that was, the reason is in the wallet implementation and not in the core ledger implementation. So we'll have a look so to handle all these edge cases and have a much more stable version within the next months and weeks.
Yeah, Bernd, for example, is actually currently together with Tamo working on the fixes on the testnet. So we want to stabilize that first. But the good thing is that really most of the bugs, as Christian just said, are in the front end. Like, for example, we had an issue where we are currently preventing the wallet from being used in multiple tabs. That will not be an issue later, because then if, for example, we will have a mobile wallet, then you've got the one app and you will not use it on two phones. But that was causing an issue where blocks were like sent to the network multiple times. So one block was rejected, the other one was accepted, but maybe you've been in a different tab and you've just seen the rejected block and so on. Like a few front-end issues, but yeah, that's why it's called testnet. We now have to fix these issues, then have to work on the stability a little bit. We just built us some tools which are helping us on the debugging, which are tracing transactions in the network better and so on, and so that we can then head over to the beta or AlphaNet or whatever the name will be and build it against the production BTC network. Oh yeah, so which question should we do next? Maybe
There are the same question from Matthew and Ismail about to withdraw, to deposit BTC to the Autobahn network, you have to send the transaction to 2 addresses. Oh, yeah. So probably you want to answer this question, Sebastian?
Yeah, so at the moment, that's because there was the easiest implementation for us. We, at first, when we started to implement the deposit, we thought, okay, let's do a signature claim. So let's do it in a way that who wants to send BTC to our network needs to sign a certain message with his BTC account, with his private key first, and then send the signed message to our gateway with the wallet, of course, internally. Then we can validate the signature and match the Tixl account. But that was, the feature is actually still integrated in the wallet, but we just disabled it in the UI because it was not really handy. And so the next easiest way for us was to do it with this transaction, which is sent to 2 outputs, 2 addresses. But of course, that's also still not very convenient, especially not like if you imagine we want to onboard people that are no crypto experts. I mean, probably most of the people who have BTC don't even know that you can send to 2 addresses at the same time. So, so that's why later on in the wallet, the best case would be that one could buy BTC in our wallet. And on the other hand, if one already has got BTC, then maybe we can first build like sort of a centralized solution, which makes sending BTC to the network easier. But yeah, that's also still testnet. And we just wanted to make a version which we can deliver fast. And so that is also something which we must make more convenient in the future for sure.
And it was important to us to show that it's possible to do it in a true decentralized way. So that it's possible, for example, to make a more handy version with a centralized entity is possible, of course, but it was important to show that it's possible in a complete true decentralized second layer solution.
I also like the question about the Tixl investment by Crypto Bear. I just want to be sure of my investment. Why should we need MTXL if transaction fees on Autobahn are paid by its native currency? Why would anyone need to hold MTXL when Moon? Yeah, that's a good question. Because that's also a very important question for us. Because as you know, we will only profit if the token gains in value. We as the founders and also the company behind Tixl really only can get funded by selling tokens. So for us, it's also very important that the tokens have a solid use case in the Autobahn network. And that's like on the one hand by transaction fees, which should be in the first layer not paid in Tixl, because that would be like for the BTC communities or for new users, it's always not, I would say, not good if you need two currencies. If you need Tixl, you need 0.01 Tixl to send BTC, then you would need to buy the Tixl first. So that's kind of an overhead. And so we are planning that these transaction fees are paid internally in MTXLT because, and that's also something which is only possible with assets on the network which have quite a good liquidity like BTC. Because if we collect BTC as transaction fees, it should not be a problem to buy Tixl at the back end with these BTC. And that could also be done in a decentralized way, even if it's not that easy. Also, other features could be possible, like, for example, paying MTXLT for nicknames on the network, for example, or for any other services. Also, like if another project would want to release the token on our network, it could even be a fixed monthly fee, which is then paid in MTXLT. So there are really a lot of use cases, and that's also something which we will more outline in our next bigger status update then. So, but yeah, you can be sure that we will only like work in a direction which we hope would make MTXLT more worthy, because otherwise we would also not really earn any money with that in the future.
So there's a question from Alexis about how many transactions have been done through the testnet so far, and are you satisfied from this experiment? Or do you need more transactions? So until now, there are around about 11,000 transactions that happened on the network. So I would say we are really satisfied with this experiment. It's the most of them were very successful transactions, and it was quite stable. So there are some edge case issues with the wallet, but yeah, it's very, very good first version of Autobahn network, I would say. And I think for now, we do not need that many new transactions for the next days, but again, with the next version to check the whole system again. And what we want to do is, for example, performance tests and so on.
Yeah, it will be easier, I think, to really do marketing on the Autobahn network as soon as we've got a version built against the BTC production network, because then, like, for example, we could send, we could do like giveaways with Satoshis, or invite people on Twitter with tip bots or so, where we use the Autobahn network to really spread out minimal BTC amounts. And that's, of course, something different compared to BTC testnet, because, yeah, what are you doing with a testnet BTC? And so, yeah. What else? Christian. There was a question about the timeline. Where is it?
It's from Alexis. For the roadmap available on GitHub, the mainnet should come at the end of 2020. Do you think with the COVID situation, this is still invisible?
Yeah. So first of all, we have been pretty lucky that COVID did not really affect us. So it affected us only on the fundraising perspective, because as you can imagine at the moment, oh, did I just, so now all of the people can see the question in the stream, right? I don't know how I did put the message. How can I remove that one? I don't know. Maybe I can pin the, well, doesn't matter. I will change it to the next question as soon as we have the next question. So COVID didn't affect us a lot, except the fundraising part for institutional investors is, of course, as you can imagine, everything works a little bit slower because the institutional investors, have to take care about their positions at the current time, and they are not as easily spending money as it may have been before. So that was, as we mentioned, like on Telegram or maybe in a blog post, we are working together with a company in Hamburg who specialized in fundraising. And so that was the feedback we got. But we are now in the situation that, we are in contact with some institutional investors where Tixl could be interesting. And so we will have to see how that goes, but it can take time. And that's the main thing where we are affected by COVID. From our daily business, I would say, Christian, nothing really changed, did it?
No, that's true. We're working more from home than before, but we were used to work remotely before, so it's not a big issue for us.
Yeah, so that doesn't really affect the timeline, but as I mentioned right in the beginning of the stream, our focus is on building sort of a beta net against the BTC production network, and launch that really in production soon. And so because of that, we will make some adjustments in the project timeline, and that will be included in the next bigger status update, which we will post on Medium then. Kosovo is also suggesting that we should maybe not take any fees in the motorway in the beginning. And actually, that's also something we are really considering to do because, as you say it makes the case even sexier for marketing if BTC can be sent without fees in the beginning. And even if that will not increase the demand by transaction fees for Tixl in the short term, it will help us in the marketing. And then that should help us also in fundraising, in maybe increasing the token price or however the traction, whatever the traction will then provide for us. So in the short term, that could be really useful, and then later on we can then switch to a model where Tixl is used for transaction fees. Yes.
And what we also think about is something like that it can be free of charge forever for very small micro transactions. So it's possible to do so-called range proofs that you can prove that your amount is below $1 US, for example, without revealing the exact amount. And then the validators can accept this transaction without transaction fees, and this can be very interesting for the micro payment things like tip bots, for example, or micro transactions needed on the internet for reading an article or something similar ideas.
Yeah. So did we skip some questions, or did we answer all of the questions which are in the stream? Did you see my question about allowing an exchange to use the network for no fees as long as they list Tixl themselves? Could be an option, of course. I think for the exchange part, what we need to consider is that, and that's also something where we talk to our lawyers about how we should approach this is that because our goal is to build a beta net version against the BTC mainnet, that would mean that people will actually have real BTC in the network and they will send real BTC into the network. On the other hand, in the beta net, we will not have like 100% security audited version. So of course, there might be issues because of the missing audits. And that means we are thinking about really not recommending and to have like a legal disclaimer to not send large BTC amounts through the network at the beginning. Yeah, so that for exchanges, then because they will probably send larger amounts, it will not make any sense in the first place. But of course, it could make sense to approach exchanges early, for example, to maybe try to get some partnerships and to onboard them into the network as soon as possible. So that could be a good idea then, yeah. Yeah, on the listing and also on the listing, because that's another good question. At the moment, we are, I would say, not feeling bad with being only listed on Probit on Binance DEX. Of course, we know it's something completely different to being listed on Binance or KuCoin or whatever. But as you all know, we don't have the high transaction volumes at the moment. And if we would want to go on a larger exchange now, like, I don't know, KuCoin or whatever, most of these exchanges, we received offers of different exchanges require you to do like market making in the first place, which means you will have, first of all, market making is always a question from the legal perspective. So there are legal costs to clarify if a market maker can do market making for our project. If you want to really make it properly, then market making itself costs money. And then, of course, the exchange listings are also, depending on the exchange, kind of expensive. And that's, from our point of view, at the moment, it doesn't really generate too much value for the project if we put too much funds into exchange listings. Instead, yeah, our goal is to get out a working product soon and then do marketing, and then we would also have much better conditions for exchanges, we think, because yeah, if we can show to the public that we are already processing, I don't know, thousands of BTC transactions per week, then our position in negotiations is much stronger.
Yeah, there's another question from Alexis. It's yeah, correct. Tixl is solving a real problem. Can you come back on your crypto background? When did you enter the crypto sphere? Which were your first coins bought? So the first time I got in touch with crypto, so with Bitcoin, was while we were studying. And yeah, it was quite interesting, but I would say I was too shy to invest something because we didn't earn that much money, and it was a little bit, yeah, not that trustworthy these days. And yeah, we had a look at it, but it was not that we were all in. And then we heard about Bitcoin and other coins again and again. And for me, it was in the first quarter of 2017 that I bought my first Ethereum. And short time, or a few weeks later, the first part of BTC. And this was my first touch, my first real getting in contact with crypto, with buying crypto, and yeah, to have a closer look to the market. And yeah, we even several months or years before we came with this Tixl idea, we were already talking about a really cool payment app Sebastian, and it's something that's really close to it, but was quite before this crypto time. And it's quite similar with you, Sebastian, right?
Quite similar, except that I didn't really buy into Ethereum, but instead Ripple. Now, people might hate me because it's like people say Ripple is like centralized and so on, that which is true in some extent, but yeah, that's another topic. But I still hold my XRPs. Yeah, there's another question on the timeline. When do you expect the Autobahn network to be functional? Last year, you promised mainnet in 2020. Yeah, like as I mentioned a few questions ago, our goal is to introduce a beta net first, which is then built against the BTC production network and fully functional in production. And that will change something at the timeline, and we are still internally like discussing how our schedule will look like in detail, but that will be included in the status update, which will come this month. Then. Yeah.
Thanks for your answers.
Is there still ongoing contact with family offices with the progress since last year's hookup? How would a big cash injection help the project? Yes, there is some contact. A big cash injection would help in that term, that we can then, on one hand, hire more developers, because we can and we will build a version, and especially the beta net with the existing manpower. That's possible, but of course, if we would have more developers, we could provide a much more feature-rich and much more stable application. I think that's pretty clear, that if the team is bigger, then it's easier to deliver. Also, we would need additional funds for security audits by professional security firms. We might not be like security noobs also, but in this type of software, it will be better to have some hackers testing it. And then also more money would allow us to, I don't know, maybe also hire somebody who helps us with the business development and marketing and so on. So I think we are in the good situation that, because, for example, Christian and I are not, we at the moment, we must not receive a salary from Tixl because we've got our passive income from the software agency. The good part is that we can structure our expenses, etc., so that we are very flexible, and then we can run Tixl in the very, very, very long term. So we are not dependent on short-term fundraising, but of course, there are two ways which would help the project: institutional fundraising, or if the token price would rise in the future, and if we could sell some tokens, for example, on the public market or whatever, these two types would then help the project, so that we could like invest in in more team members and so on. But yeah, and that's also what I mentioned, due to the COVID situation, especially larger investors are much more careful with their funds at the moment. And so we will have to see how that goes. But yeah, at the moment, we are still in a good situation.
Yeah, and with some of these contacts from this family office event, we are still in contact. Not all of them, of course, but very selected ones.
Yeah, and actually, the family office summit was also very important for us, because what we realized is that it's still hard for people to understand that we are building a completely new currency, and where we are still thinking Tixl makes totally sense from the feature set and from its properties itself. But we now realize that when we pitched the Autobahn Network to institutional investors, the case is much more easy to explain, because the problem is BTC cannot be sent privately, instantly, and fast. Everyone understands, and so everyone understands why we are building a platform to solve that problem. And then when we go into deeper discussions, people understand why there's a new token and the benefits about the new token. And so that was a really positive feedback, a really constructive feedback from the family office event, and something we learned there that it was easier to do it this way.
There's another question from Ismail. So who has the idea to send emojis with transactions? It's very cool. There was a feedback regarding the Altona release from one of our employees from ApeStack. So a good friend of Bernd. And yeah, we're talking about if it's possible to have something that's easier to find your transaction on the Explorer. And we really like the idea, and implement it as one of the first parts after this.
Maybe Christian, what do you think? Maybe one more question, and then we can tell a little bit about the small giveaway we want to do.
Yeah, sounds good.
Think? I like the question from Slip Sky. Can you expand on how you want to treat the privacy side of Tixl, especially if governments come in and regulate coins that have privacy features? Yeah, that's a good question. I think we published a Medium article about that a few months ago, but basically we're still. So first of all, what is I think important to know is that we will not do anything which is against regulation, because from our perspective, that does not really make sense. There might be projects which are 100% decentralized already and don't care about that, and which can be used for, I don't know, activities in darknet or whatever. That's not really our goal. Our goal is to make privacy available for everyone, and we are, of course, we want privacy for transactions. And if there will be ways in the future so that privacy can be achieved compatible with regulation, we still believe that can be the case. At the moment, that is the case. It is combinable, and so then we will of course keep the privacy features. Only if there would be no chance for us to establish the privacy, then what would our options would only be to stop the project, which we don't want to do. So the alternative is to make it as private as possible with regulations, and to deliver the other features as good as possible. So that's our approach to that, and that's, I think, in favor of all our investors. We are investors by ourselves, so we have to make it compatible to regulation. Yeah, that's basically it.
There are two more questions. Maybe we can answer them too. Investors coming with 25K should contact Tixl team directly, right? What are the privileges supporting the project with that amount or more? So we decided that for smaller investors, so below 25K, it's helpful if they can buy from the public market. So it supports the Tixl price, and this also can help to find larger investors, because they see there's a good price movement or a good demand for this token. But if you're a larger investor with more than 25K, it's not possible to buy so many tokens on the public market right now. So there's not the liquidity to get these tokens. And that's kind of your privileges, because otherwise it would be unrealistic to buy this amount of tokens from the public market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then maybe one last question. What's the direct competitors of Tixl? I think that can be seen in different ways, because Tixl, when we started the project, and that's also something which you will read in our white paper, we compared ourselves to especially other privacy coins like Beam or Zcash, Monero, etc. So, and the Tixl currency is kind of competing with these currencies. Also, there are some smaller projects like, I don't know, 10 grams, or there are so many privacy and DEC projects. So these are competitors for the Tixl token. But then on the other hand, and right now, in the direction where we are doing the marketing, we've got, of course, the Bitcoin scaling solutions like Lightning Network, or the Liquid network for BTC, wrapped BTC on Ethereum, and these types of solutions. And so we've got different types of competitors, but actually we think that it's currently good to have competitors in the BTC scaling area, because that also brings a lot of visibility to what we are doing. And as soon as we can, as soon as more people from the BTC community will find out about the Autobahn network, that can then be a good benefit for marketing. Yeah, Nano, for example, is also like a competitor to Tixl, for example, and so maybe then that's it for the first AMA. Quite a funny experience to be live on YouTube and answer questions. But I don't know, maybe the chat, maybe can you write, should we do some sort of AMA again on maybe like a regular basis? I don't know what you think. Maybe it's good to see us in real life, sometimes in between and not only in Telegram. So then we could do that again in the future, of course. Yeah, right now we want to end the AMA with a giveaway. In this AMA, we talked a lot about our experiences with AMA giveaways in the past, and we didn't want to do it like the ones we did on Binance, on the Binance DEX group and so on. Not just because there was, I don't know, it was so much stress also for our moderators in the Telegram group, where people did send us didn't receive their tokens because they didn't answer questions properly and so on. That was just a hassle. And so we thought, okay, let's do something differently. And so we will, just now after the AMA, what Christian, did you already post the tweet? I don't know.
Yeah, just several seconds ago.
So we will do a small giveaway which should help the social reward program, and we will help ambassadors to onboard, to refer other ambassadors. So we will give away 10 MTXLT for in total 5 people who refer somebody else to the social reward program, and there the referred person will get 1 Tixl token, and the referring person will also get 1 Tixl token. So that's something which helps the community and also the project. So we thought that could be an idea, instead of just giving away too much random tokens in one session and to overload our admins again. And then maybe we also have to learn because yeah, this is our first AMA, and we will think about some stuff we could present next time. But actually, I think it's quite good to interact with you guys from the Telegram community and to chat a little bit, or on a regular basis. Or what do you think, Christian?
Yeah, I think it was pretty cool, very interactive, and the feedback in the chat is really positive. So here, for example, Tixl thanks, suggest every 3 to 6 months. I think it's a good time frame to do this on this regular basis, probably after releases like this time, so that we can talk about what happened the last weeks and months and what's planned for the next time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, then thanks everyone. Enjoy your day, depending on which time zone you are. And see you next time. And of course, if you have any questions in the meantime, send us messages in Telegram or Twitter or wherever you like. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.